Hey, it's James here from GoodGuitarist.com, and today I want to show you the top 5 riffs from the 70s. And I started out with a list of like 50, and I narrowed it down to 5 that each have something unique about them in terms of the technique. So by learning these 5 riffs, you're also going to improve your electric guitar playing in 5 different ways. Really quick before we get started, if you'd like to help support the channel, please take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel. That's the best way you can do it. And I also have a free ebook for you covering riffs and lead guitar. It's free for all my subscribers when you sign up for my newsletter. I'm going to put a link to that in the corner and down in the description. Otherwise, let's just get started. We're going to go in chronological order, and this first one is from May 9th, 1970. It was a huge hit, reaching #1 in the United States, and it helped to establish the Guess Who, helping them break out of Canada and into the American airwaves, and it remains a classic rock staple to this day. And this riff uses the power chord shape, which is an absolute staple for any electric guitar player. You know, it's the ultimate shape for rock rhythm. You can just kind of drag it around the fretboard. And if you want like a diagram that has all that stuff and shows you how to use the power chord to its fullest, that is in my free lead guitar ebook that I mentioned before. So, you know, grab that if you want to expand on this later. Anyways, we're going to use this in just 3 spots and play this sort of, basically this classic blues progression. So I'm playing my power chord, my index is on the 7th fret of the thickest string, and my ring finger's on the next string, 2 frets higher, and my pinky's underneath it. That's the power chord shape. And we play it there, and then we go to the 5th fret of the A string, and we make the same shape. And then we go 2 frets higher. So I'm following my index. So get used to moving your index on those first. And then you can add the rest of the shape, and you move the whole shape together. Once you're comfortable with that, we can add some strumming to it. For the first shape, we just hit it once. And we can do it a little shorter by releasing the pressure. And then for our next shape, we're going to go down, down, and then we slide up to the 7th fret, and we go up. So you might want to go down, down, up, just like that. And then once we reach this chord, we just do some strumming on this one. I'm going to play through the entire thing. You can always just see it above, and you can go through it at your own pace. I'll go nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... If you want me to like really break this down, I can make its own lesson, and we can spend the whole, 15-20 minutes on this song, especially on that on that part too, right? So let me know if you'd like me to break this down further. Otherwise, we're going to move on to our second riff. This one is from later in that same year, October 5th, 1970, from the album Zeppelin 3. And that's Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin. And what makes this one so special in terms of our technique is that we're string skipping. So we're going from the thickest string, and we're actually skipping over to the D string. And what I love about this song is how simple it is. It's just those 2 notes. There's some chords and stuff too, but for the most part, it's just those 2 notes. And it's like an exercise, and it's nice and repetitive, but it's still a lot of fun to play through the entire song. So you can kind of practice for free, like you practice as you're playing the song. When it comes to playing this one, we're playing the 2nd fret of the thickest string. And I was doing a bit of a palm mute thing. That's optional. You can just overlap a bit of the string with your palm. And we just go down, down, up, and then we do our string skip. And I press the 4th fret of the D string with my pinky. You could use your ring finger if you want. That's the octave. So those are both the note F sharp. And we just go down, down, up, and then we go down on our D string, and then we come back to our E string and we play 2 upstrokes. Let's take a look at the timing. It goes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So just see, it kind of lines up like a grid. You know, that's the most important part. Your pick is moving down on the numbers, up on the ands. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and if that string skip is too much for you, you can just play the thickest note. You can just go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and down, down, up, down, up, up, down, down, up, down, up, up. You know, just saying that pattern. Down, down, up, up. Over and over again on that one note. And then when you're ready, and you can even add, you know, that bit of palm muting, add a bit of tremolo. Land of the ice and snow, the blum blum now, and the hot springs grow. And that's it. And our next tune is from just a month later, on November 9th of 1970. And I know that the first 3 of these are all from the year 1970, but I ended up with these ones not because they're perfectly spaced out throughout the decade, but because they're going to give you a well-rounded lead guitar education. And they're all incredible riffs. This one requires no introduction. And that is Eric Clapton's famous riff on Layla by Derek and the Dominoes. As far as the riff itself, we have a few more techniques being introduced here. We're playing a power chord just like with American Woman, but we're only doing 2 notes. So I'm starting off with my index on the 5th fret of the A string and my ring finger on the next string 2 frets higher. And we go from there, we go down 2 frets, and then we go down 2 frets. So those are our 3 chords that we're playing in this one. And then there's a little bit of a riff where on the open A string, we hammer to the 3rd fret. So sorry, we pluck the open A, hammer the 3rd fret, and then we pluck the open D, and we do a hammer and a pull on the 3rd fret. So hammer, hammer, pull. And then we finally play the 3rd fret of the A string again. And if you want like a real breakdown, I already did a lesson for this where we broke the whole thing down. I'll put a link to that in the corner. We work on the hammer-ons. You know, we do everything that we need to do. But we're just going to go through it a little bit of a quicker pace here since I've already broken it down there. We start off with that riff. We play the open D string and then we slide that power chord. And that takes a bit of gusto, you know, to get used to sliding the power chord. It's really important that your thumb is in a good spot. As far as like feeling it and getting the technique right, I think engaging your shoulder, because you can pull back on the guitar with like your whole arm, you know, and that'll really help you keep the pressure down, especially because you have to kind of let the pressure off your thumb. Like I wouldn't even use my thumb here. My thumb is floating and I can still do it because I'm pulling with my arm, not because I'm stressing out my hand and my wrist. And then we go down to the 1st position and then open A string, 3rd fret of the G string. So, and then same 2 notes at the end there, and then back to our 1st position. And like I said, I know that we're just blazing through this. There's a full lesson I'll put in the corner. Otherwise, let's just play it slowly one time. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E. Now for this next one, we're finally going to jump ahead 5 years to August 28th, 1975. And this one was originally just a minor hit, reaching number 10 on the charts. But like a decade later, in 1986, they re-recorded this one with Run DMC, and they made like this hip-hop version of it that became super popular. I first heard this song when I was 6 years old from the intro of the Wayne's World movie. And what makes this one so special is that you really have to pay attention to the duration of the note. You know, so many people are worried about hitting the right notes and getting the rhythm correct. And, you know, obviously you should be concerned about that. But, you know, once you're good with that, the next step is to be able to listen to how it sounds and really like sculpt it, you know. And in this case, they use staccato, which is where you play shorter notes. So instead of just like, it's like, you know, that note's really short. There's a bit of palm muting, you know, and this is something that you definitely just have to like explore a bit, but I'm going to walk you through it. As far as the notes, we're starting off on the A string and we go O, 1, 2, and I'm just playing down, up, down. And you can palm mute those by just lightly overlapping your hand over the A string. And then we're going to do an upstroke on the second fret of the D string. And this one you really want it to punch and you want to make it short. You want to use that staccato. So I would just start there. And then we just do the same thing again, but the rhythm is displaced. This one uses 16th note counting, which can get a little confusing. We can just think about the strokes, just going down, up, miss, up, down, down. You know, we can think about it that way, kind of like a strumming pattern. Miss, up, down, up. And then once we reach that note for the second time, we just play the low E string. And we stop it by muting it with our palm. So we pluck it and then we just touch it. Then we do pretty much the same thing. But instead of just going straight to that note, we go. So I'm playing the third fret of the thickest string with my ring finger. Then I pull off. And then I'm going to play the second fret of the D string again. And that's it. You just go between those two, and that's Walk This Way. And for our final riff, we're going to jump all the way to the end of the decade in July 27th, 1979, to one of the most famous Australian rock bands of all time. It's AC/DC with their hit Highway to Hell. And this one, what makes it so special is that we're playing like campfire chords, but we're using it to make a rock riff. And from that, we can learn two things. One, when you turn up the gain on your guitar, like chords can sound really muddy, you know, so we have to play them in a certain way, like only playing the bottom of the chord or really muting all those notes that are gonna like stand out. And the other thing is a technical thing. It's very demanding in terms of how fast you have to switch the chords. Like I remember when I was first learning Over the Hills and Far Away by Zeppelin. It's a totally different song, but it has this like really quick changes. And I was like, you have to be able to change chords that fast. Like my mind was blown. And this song's a good stepping stone into that. Just when we're going like, because it's not that hard and it's pretty repetitive. As far as the riff is concerned, we're starting off with an A chord, but I'm playing it with one finger. And I'm not like trying to get the whole thing. I'm just strumming that part of it. Kind of the middle four strings. And we just go, that's on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. All downstrokes. And then same rhythm here, but we're going to change chords to D over F sharp. So I have my index on the second fret of the thickest string. Skip a string. Well, it's actually muted. Then the open D string, second fret of the G string, and then the third fret of the B string, and the high E string's muted too. And that's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then we're going to switch to our G chord on the and. And for our G chord, we don't even need our index finger. We're muting the A string with the underside of our middle finger. So 3X, O, 3, and then mute. So this is that quick switch. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we stop the strings. So just go between those two shapes, you know, that's going to be the challenge here. And then we're going to do that again. And And then here, we're going to do the same thing, but in a different place rhythmically. We're going to go 1 and 2 and, then we mute the strings. We go back to D over F sharp and 4 and 1. So 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. All together, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 you just repeat that over and over again. You know, this one's really easy to learn, but really hard to properly pull off. And I get that, you know, everybody makes fun of AC/DC because their songs are just like power chords and the pentatonic scale. But at the end of the day, if you ever play in like a cover band or something and you try to play AC/DC and make it sound legit, you do need to be a pretty good guitar player. So those are my top 5 guitar riffs of the 1970s. For a copyright reason, I cannot distribute a tab. I do, however, have all the materials that you need so that you don't need to rely on tab. And those are the actual guitar skills, you know, things that we discussed today. And if you want a guided path through all of that, I have a course, The Complete Lead Guitarist. I'll put a link to that down below if you are interested. It's all about keeping it simple, you know, common sense stuff, but being able to express yourself rather than like memorize a million scales and all that. You know, we do learn all the things you need to know, but we focus on like learning how to solo with just a few notes and actually putting some feeling into the music. You know, we start small and that way you're not overwhelmed and you're actually going to be able to grow into, you know, whatever direction you like to go. I also have a free lead guitar ebook that you can grab. There's a link to that down below if you're interested. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Otherwise, have a fun time practicing, and I'll see you soon.